Hi, everybody. How are you? I hope you guys are all well today, and I welcome you to my video. My commenters, hello, you guys. Welcome, my wonderful commenters, my wonderful subscribers, and my wonderful new subscribers. I want to welcome everybody today. Now, there has been a new video that has been placed online by someone that was at the anti-inaugural ball about a year ago in Los Angeles. So on the night that the president was inaugurated in Washington, there was a party being, held in LA that was an anti-inaugural party against the presidency. So we've all heard about this anti-inaugural ball and Chris Cornell's participation in it. Now, this video that's been placed online is from someone that was there that night, that was in Chris Cornell's dressing room after the concert. And it's really hard to watch to see Chris Cornell alive. Just a few months before he died, and it's very sad to even watch. But I watched it a couple of times because I just wanted to observe Chris Cornell and see if, he showed any signs of any depression or what, he looked like and what was he acting like back then. And to me, he looked normal. He looked fine. He looked like just a normal person. Um, I watched the concert that he sang, and I have to admit, it was an off night for him. His voice sounded just terrible. It didn't sound like him at all. And I wonder if the mixing, the mixing of the music was all wrong and his voice wasn't properly mixed, or what, if there was any technical issue, because in all the years I've heard Chris Cornell, I've seen him in concert twice. um, he sounded perfect. I mean, he can hit all those notes. So it was pretty much the first time I've seen him not sound very good, and it's sort of a one of there because I've watched other concerts of his, even his last concert before he died in Detroit. He sounded fine, and musically speaking, he could pretty much hit the notes, and he had a hard time that night because I feel he was under some type of um, he was drugged in some way, or there was something wrong with him, some substance. But anyway, at this anti-inaugural concert, he sounded terrible. And then they show the backstage where Chris Cornell greets Susan Sarandon, who comes into the dressing room. He greets her at the door, and they go in, and there's Chris and his daughter and his brothers there, and there are other people, and of course Tom Morello. And she walks in and right away goes to Tom Morello to tell him what a wonderful guitar player he is and how wonderful he sounded. And it was kind of sad because she completely, bypassed Chris and didn't say anything about his performance, so to speak, and just raved about Tom Morello, who I have my opinions of, which I won't talk about here. Nevertheless, so he introduces Susan Sarandon to his brother, who was also in the room. And then Vicky stumbles in and completely ignores Susan, and Chris introduces Susan Sarandon to his wife, and Vicky, shakes her hand and says something inaudible. I couldn't understand, something incoherent. And so they stand around, and she's raving about Tom Morello, and his guitar is a monster, and all of this. And then they take pictures, and she leaves. And it's a sort of uncomfortable kind of a moment there. It doesn't seem like it's very relaxed at all. Then they show Chris Cornell on the sofa, body language sort of away from Vicky, and she's just sort of plunked down there. And they start to speak about, Chris starts to talk about wanting to perhaps do some more music with Audioslave and Prophets of Rage, because one of the members of Prophets of Rage was there, Brad Wilkes. I didn't know who he was. I had to look it up. Nevertheless, so Chris starts to talk about how it would be good to just take some time and to perhaps collaborate again and, reignite some new music with these guys. And when he's talking, Vicky interjects and says that, you're making him uncomfortable. I've never seen a wife of a rock star meddle in her husband's business when he's doing rock business with other members of other bands and musicians. It just goes to show, again, the lack of education this woman has, the meddling, the controlling, of her husband. She is just his wife, not, his musical director. And yet she interjects and says that. And it kind of, Chris sort of threw her a glance, and it looked like, daggers were coming out of his eyes towards her. So this is how I read it, this video. Each and every one of you guys will probably have a different view of it, but this is my view and my opinion. And if you guys go and watch it, I'll link it below. You can tell me what you think if you want. So, just her there, and then of course Chris's brother was there, and the little girl was there, and you could just see how much Chris Cornell loved his children. That's why, again, I reiterate, I don't believe he would take his own life. He loved his children too much. And you can see how he adored his daughter and protective of her, and she of him. And this is why, there's no way he would have hung himself on a door in Detroit after his concert, because he loved his children. There would be no way he would do that, in my opinion. So you guys can go and look at the video and tell me what you think if you want. But another thing that came out recently is that Chris Cornell's song, The Promise, was not nominated for an Academy Award. And, that's the way it went, despite all of the campaigning and keeping the promise to Chris and this and that, this big campaign about the promise for the last year. And especially since Chris died, with the video and all of the people that Vicky brought on board to support the promise to Chris Cornell, it didn't get the Oscar nomination. So it would be interesting to see how long she's going to keep up the promise campaign now, given that the Academy did not nominate the song for Chris Cornell. So, It's just sad. Chris Cornell in that video that I am speaking about looks fine. I mean, he didn't look depressed. He didn't look uh, odd in any way. He just looked normal. And I think that that was when he was, starting to do quite a bit of humanitarian work on an international level with the UN and with the Human Rights Watch and all of the charities that he was involved in. And, he didn't look depressed to me, from looking from the outside, looking at a video. I mean, he looked fine. He looked just like a normal person, very polite and warm. And there was nothing strange about him. And it's around that same time that that first blind item came out about Cornell that was revealed, talking about how, he wanted to move on and he basically was, going to divorce Vicky and that her family was not going to go quietly. That was around the same time as this anti-inaugural ball. So, you know, it's just unfortunate what happened to him. It's just sad. And then, of course, Chester Bennington as well. And what happened to him on Chris's birthday. So I think at that time, about a year ago, Chris Cornell was not yet in possession of information about pedophilia and the actually the opposite of what they were doing to children, the opposite of what he was trying to do, which was help them. I think he hadn't yet stumbled upon the reality of these charities and of these groups of people. Now, also, there's been older blind items from back in December that claim, they haven't been revealed yet, but they allude to the fact that Vicky was involved with escorts in before meeting Chris Cornell, that she was perhaps one herself. I'm not sure of that though, but it does say that she knew these people that were involved in international escorts. And escorts, what I mean is high-priced prostitution, because that's what an escort is. It's just a polite way of saying it. And also in that video of Vicky, one can also see the physical change, the nose job she's had, because she looks completely different in that video than what she looks like now, with her, very ethnic nose and very dark skin. She had like a permatan, like she's so brown or yellowy brown from all the tanning. And she basically has certainly changed her appearance, that's for sure. As well as her mother, who has had facelifts and Botox and, all of this plastic surgery since Chris Cornell died. So, very sad, again, to see all of this, but it is what it is. I want to thank you guys today for your attention. I welcome all your comments and thoughts. And as always, I wish you all a very wonderful day wherever you are, my friends. Thank you.